This you? Right.
Was poppin'. Welcome, Nicky and Moose. I'm Nicky. That's Moose. What's up, Moose?
What up, y'all?
And welcome to the live show. Also known as Creator Ave. If y'all know, y'all know.
That's right. That's right.
First and foremost, you know the vibes. New episode dropped today. Okay, we struggle with self-doubt too. That's what the title is, and hence why we are kind of talking what we're talking about today as well. Go check it out. The audio experience is out. If you heard it and you're live, drop some ones. If you plan on hearing it after this live, drop some twos. Let us know. And of course, if you want to support the channel, support the podcast. If you are on YouTube, hit that super thanks, hit the super chat if you're watching this live. And for my Facebook people, hit those stars. So, Moose, how we feeling? How's life?
Life is good. Life is good. Another day in the books, thriving and making it work with minimum sleep. So I think that is a lot to be grateful for, you know. As structured as I am, having to do the best that I can with just any amount of rest that I got, any amount of time that I got, just making it happen. And, you know, if you listen to the podcast, you kind of got a mini update on this, or maybe it's in the after show. I think I got a little bit more vulnerable about my dad journey on the after show. So you might need to subscribe to that to catch up. But yeah, man, overall things are great though.
Okay. All right. That's good. So any guest appearances today? No guest appearances?
No. It's still early, you know. Well, funny story. Nikki revealed to me that I did a terrible job on my blurriness. You know, she's like, "Well, buddy, you know, if this was TMZ, they would have been all over you." But
man, you know, praise God, we not up there yet. They were.
I felt like that was a good enough like cover up. Like, yo, no, you can't see that right now. But just know, it was one of those. That was at least in my mind what I was trying to do. But you know, I guess I didn't do a good job of it. So we had
it's all good. It's all good. You tried, all right. Listen, I think your supporters actually appreciate your fail on this one, because this is the most. It was like, I'm trying to be transparent, but I suck at it. So
here's something.
No,
but it was a proud moment though. You know, it's like I can't describe it. You definitely feel a level of joy that you're like, I just want everyone to know. I'm a private person, but I just want everyone to know. So that's fun. But no, I'm definitely excited to dive into today though. I know, especially after the last couple conversations we had, I think today's gonna be fire.
Randomness, real quick. Before we get into this, we just we just launched our Instagram broadcast channel. Okay. So if you follow us on Instagram, or it's at Nicky and Moose, if you go to where the link in the bio is, you can hit that. Boom. You get in the broadcast channel. You're going to get all our updates, some sneak peeks, whatever we want to put. I'm probably going to put some research stuff that we may find. So Moose will probably text me some things. Hey, put this in the broadcast channel. So it's going to be a whole vibe. So definitely go do that. Okay, go do that. But Moose normally starts this off. I want to start this one off because I requested this one. Okay.
I better buckle up.
Yeah.
I better buckle up.
And let's see how well I can do this. All right. So look, this is going to be a very super transparent vibe, because it's very rare, not rare for us. Me and Moose are normally opposite, but in energy wise, right? It's not always that opposite until recently, okay? Where one may be on a super high, like the highest they've ever been in just feelings, in momentum and everything like that. And another one may be in a brand new low, right? And so when we're talking about this, journey of entrepreneurship, journey of being a creator, starting a brand, in the middle of a brand, transitioning into building an empire, there are so many different mental obstacles that we have to go through. And when we do go through them, that, I conquered feeling, and then everything goes straight and now we're on the up. Like, we got to talk about not just the downs, but we got to talk about the ups too, right? So I actually wanted to start with Moose because he's in a whole new world, new phase, new season in his life where everything is on the up, right? And he's a little bit more transparent. So I'm gonna see how I could go with this, right? You know what I mean? But for him, as he said, he's a brand new dad. However, what does that mean in the entrepreneurship life? Okay, now he's been consistent. What's happening? Like, what is his thought process on it, right? What does he see as far as business? What is the time balance and everything like that? Just getting his mental on where he's at now. And then we're going to transition to me, who, just being honest, got triggered into going back into my depression, right? And being honest about how that happened, because I think now I'm a little bit more aware of what could possibly trigger things and how to kind of tackle that as it's going on. So to start off with Moose, let's start off happy. You feel me? Let's start off happy. Moose, talk to us about your mental, talk about just your raw emotions, just seeing the season that you're in. Like, talk to us about just how your mind is.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely, an important conversation. I'm gonna be honest. Like, this is something that I wish more people would have other people or other communities to tap into and talk about, because while it's gaining popularity on mainstream, I still think it's not getting enough attention, even still, because it really is. And I know this may sound crazy and almost a little bit too dramatic, but literally it's the difference between life and death in a lot of scenarios. And I just made a decision about 6 months ago. Yeah, I want to say about 6 months ago, where I had to reevaluate what I told myself about myself. We said we're going to be transparent. So I feel as though I started to consume certain information that told me, if you identify as an introvert, you're not supposed to have emotions. And having emotions is a bad thing. And so just imagine, operating at high velocity. And I identify high velocity as you're just going, right? Like, you are making the extreme sacrifice. You are working harder than you've ever worked. You're willing to accept maybe more BS than you normally would for 4 or 5 years. And then you get a wake-up call because you feel as though you've drifted from who you know you're supposed to be, and certain things you can no longer hide. And so I got to a point where I just recognized that I had some inner work to do. And I went back and I started to revisit this concept of like, wait, so you've been telling yourself, lying to yourself, that you don't have emotions for some 3, 4, 5 years, when in reality, wake up call, you're human. You have a heart.
Talk about
Your
it.
body's physiology is designed to create hormones, which are emotions that you're naturally going to feel, regardless of what personality style you identify with.
Talk
And
about
so
it.
you've basically been lying to yourself or living this, weird lie for quite some time. And that's going to require some work. And so while my current phase is really happy, I'm incredibly grateful. I've been more consistent, like you mentioned, than ever before. I'm able to navigate and overcome certain situations that normally would take me off the rails with no issues. The truth is, and the reason why I started where I started and how I started is because today started 6 months ago for me. Today started with, okay, let's really go back and see what's going on. So that's the truth, Nix. I had to take a serious evaluation around why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, and I had to stop suppressing what I'm feeling and identify it as normal, or calling it a part of the grind, a part of the hustle, or whatever mentality to get to where I want to go, because that's not the truth. It doesn't have to be that way. And yeah, I've gained major return from that.
How did you know it started working? Like once you like stopped suppressing, like what was some of the first things that you were like, it's okay to have feelings. Okay.
The truth is, and it's funny because, when I first, and actually in some ways you reminded me of this, because when I first started teaching around the assessment, you came back after a while and said, you sent me something and you said, it was about like the subconscious mind and how the mind was programmed and how all of that plays into what we do today. And you sent me something from somebody else and said, I miss when you used to talk about that. And I was like, oh, really? Like, I thought that stuff was boring to other people. And you were like, no, it's actually super helpful. And I just went back and I started applying the advice that I was teaching. The number one thing I used to tell people is, if you want to reprogram your subconscious mind and get out of broken patterns, broken behaviors, things that are showing up in your life that you're not happy about, one of the number one ways to do that is to stay a student. Go back into learning mode. Because as you learn new information or new ways of doing things, you unlearn previous broken habits, patterns, and thought processes that are not necessarily bringing any value to your life. And so I just went back to that. I tightened up my routine. I was waking up earlier. I was dedicated to learning. I was really going back in that student mode. And sure enough, it started to reveal itself. Like, oh, okay, you put on this act or this facade unknowingly. Like, it wasn't an intentional thing, but unknowingly, because I desperately wanted to change the circumstance and maybe hold a certain position that I had. I didn't realize that I was creating such, like, I was digging myself into a hole. And so 2 years away from social media, 6 months in this kind of mental rehab, it was by myself for the most part. Like, it was me and just having timely conversations with certain people who I know had my best interest at heart. Before you know it, things started to turn around. But I think it was just a great wake-up call. And I would even tell everyone who's listening now that you need to have that honest conversation with yourself that, oh, wait a second, I'm not okay. And that is okay to not be okay. Because if you just keep sweeping that under the rug, oh, no, I'll be fine. Will you though? Will you eventually be okay if you just keep telling yourself you're okay when you're not okay? And I just did that. I just said, nah, you're not good. We got some work to do. And the beautiful thing is, most of us have done it in some area of our life. Like, for some of us who were athletes in high school or college, you've been a part of something, or you've done something in some area of your life. Maybe you were a part of some form of theater or dance or something that gave you that process of what it's like to be dedicated to something. And you can take that same process and transfer it into where you are in this current season, but around your mental health, to get yourself back up to shape. And that's where it started for me, for sure.
Okay, so follow up the announcement of the baby. You know what I mean? Like she's coming, and was that as far as, you know, how, because you're a routine person, right? Like when it comes to your journey as a, you know, a creator and entrepreneurship, once you heard that was happening and preparing it, I would say maybe as we get closer, right? How was your mental then?
Yeah. Well, the truth is, and I don't know that I've ever said this publicly, but we had a miscarriage before we got pregnant with our girl now. And that happened probably about 3 months apart. And so that was, I already had reached the high of, oh, we're pregnant, to punched in the gut in a matter of like 8 or 10 weeks to go to a regular checkup. And it's like, oh, it's one of those I'm sorry conversations when it's supposed to be a happy process. And then, of course, that takes a mental toll all in its all. Right. So you have to go through it. And I guess I'm glad it happened at the time that it did, as crazy as that sounds, because I was already in that rebuilding mode. And so it goes on at that time, you rebuild. And then the second time it comes around, you feel as though you're a little bit more prepared because you were there just 12 weeks ago or something like that. So that was that. And then honestly, and I've said it, and this is why it's good to study your history and your upbringing. I obviously am Muslim. I'm very happy to be Muslim. That's definitely that. And I grew up, yeah.
I feel like that needs air horns. I don't know.
That does. That was timely, indeed. Thank you.
I got you.
But as someone who's Muslim and Middle Eastern, a guy, there's so many like layers to it, and that's why it's so deep. It almost feels uncomfortable to talk about. But when you talk about understanding yourself, you gotta go that deep into it. Male, Middle Eastern, Muslim, only child, and so many other layers go into it to understand your history of, I was literally groomed to be a provider. You know, like when I lost my father at 15, that's what I did. It was me who stepped up to run our family business and kind of do things of that nature. And so when it's finally my turn to have my own family, and by having my own family, like I got married 2 years ago. Well, yeah, that is kind of my own family, but no, now I have a child in this world who I have to raise, look after. They're going to look to me. There's so much that comes with that I felt like I've been training for that my whole life. And it was so critical. Like at this moment, I can't tell you how many times I was frustrated talking to people, and they would tell me, oh, your life is about to change. Things will never be the same. But I can hear it from a remorseful standpoint. Like they felt bad for me that I'm having a child. And I'm like, wait a second. Why am I so pissed off at people talking to me about me entering this next phase of my life? And I'm mad at the fact that that's the kind of response that they have toward this experience. At first I was thinking it's their fault. I was like, oh, how dare they talk to me this way? And then finally it came to me. I was like, oh, it's the culture difference. In America, most men are encouraged to not have children until their late 30s or early 40s, right? So that they can focus on their career and their work. And then they enter fatherhood late into their age. In my culture, I think, just to kind of show you like crazy, my grandma had her first child at 16. And this wasn't like an out of wedlock situation. She was actually married. This is 1 generation ago or 2 generations ago. All right. First child at 16 after marriage. Not no mistake stuff. Planned. This is a part of the culture. Right. My father had me at 30 or 29, something like that. And so it's very common and normal for us to have children relatively early and get going. And so I think that's where the friction was. It was like this culture of, oh, I'm from this era, but I live in this world, and there's 2 different beliefs, and you have to choose what's right for you. So for me, I was like, oh, I'm not going to take it personal. I know why people misunderstand, and I have nothing to prove to them. I just got to live my truth. So like that's the free spirit, the focus, or that's what's leading to the free spirit, the focus, the consistency that you're seeing today, that high that you're describing. But I have to highlight, it starts with some deep work, man. 6 months in, it's like you put in that work, and it gives you a nice boost to work off of. And now I'm more so maintaining that. I know what I need to do to keep that going, and I'm not taking it for granted either. That's the one thing that I would say trips a lot of people up, is that they get to a high season and they start to feel as though they'll never fall off the high of the mountain or the top of the mountain. And that's not the truth. You can't stop doing the things that got you to the top. You have to do them even more consistently, and you have to add other ingredients. It's funny, I did a call with the mastermind group yesterday, and I introduced to them the law of diminishing returns, right? And it was simply like another construct that talked about, at some point, the thing that you're doing right now, even if it's working for you, is going to start giving you negative return if you don't add another ingredient to it. If you don't upgrade your thought process or your method for how you go about doing it, you're not just going to continue to get great results by doing the same thing consistently. It's a lot like going to the gym. When you've been on the couch for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, your whole life, right? And you're just going to the gym. If you're consistent for 20, 30 days, you get results instantly.
Yep.
But if you start working out for 5 years, you're not going to see major changes in your body overnight. It just doesn't happen that way. Why? Because you start reaching that phase of, are you actively adding new ingredients that upgrade your mental, your thought process, your physical, or the things that you're doing, so that you can expose or get to the next level of this category that you're in. So this is my world, man. Like I love this kind of deep stuff, but I got caught up teaching it and not living it. And I don't want to say I got exposed, because that sounds dramatic, but I exposed myself. Like, wait, you can't do that. And you need to do this work now. So I went back in that mode and climbed out.
Okay. All right. So, real quick, let me plug the flight assessment, flightassessment.com real quick. Because normally, every year, we around year and a half or something, me and Moose normally kind of retake it, and we'll talk about it kind of vibes. But in that 6-month period, did you look back or pinpoint something from your assessment and was like, this, I got to concentrate on this season, or I totally overlooked this. This is why this is happening. Did that help in this process?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every single morning when I got up to pray, after extending my gratitude, I would finish my prayer by asking God for 2 things: to help my decision-making and help my influence and relationships. Those were the 2 things that I felt I had gotten away from. And as a result of the lack in those 2 areas, I declined where I was mentally, professionally, personally, even physically, like all of those things. I declined in that. I stopped being really driven to make good decisions, to fight through the challenges, to fight through the pain, right? And I was just kind of hands off the wheel kind of thing, hoping that we still keep going straight. And I was reckless with relationships. I didn't care to check in. I didn't care to follow up. I wasn't as genuine in my desire to, say, connect with people as I normally am. That's not a trait that I learned, by the way. What most people don't know, and it's funny because the way branding and marketing stuff works, people will choose to focus on the side of story that's most convenient for them. And so everyone talked about me, and just because we're talking about the flight assessment, they've talked about me in the context of the air traffic control. What they don't know is that in my first ever assessment, my second highest score was a flight attendant.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
He was friendly, people.
So it's like you, and that was part of the challenge that I talked about, though, like that suppressing, that pulling back. It's because you start to feel this pressure to fill the shoes of what's being said about you. And so you start drifting or pulling all of your energy into that. But by doing so, you leave parts of you on the table that are necessary for the full essence of your being. And so going back to the roots, I said, oh, bro, this is also a part of who you are. Yeah, you may not be life of the party, but there's something special about your heart. All right. Like I remember when I first connected with the group in the community, people weren't necessarily impressed by my intelligence at first. It was my heart that they were most impressed by. I was like, hey, this dude is such a good person. Like just genuinely, you could tell there were no bad intentions, twisted morals, none of that stuff. And not to say that they exist in me now, but I just got away from that part of me.
Right.
And so just going back to the basics and the fundamentals, like this is who you are. Suppressing emotions it's not the answer on that.
I agree. Before we do the transition, like now that the baby's here, which I really suggest you guys go on his Instagram and you'll fully see the baby. As I said, fully see the baby. She's adorable. She's adorable. You know what I mean? We're gonna put J's on her soon. We're gonna put J's on her soon. I was instructed when she could walk, we'll get J's. So we'll wait. Because even though I want to like, look, go get it, and it's just for pictures, but it's fine. With her here, right? Is there, and granted, it's been like 2 days. Like, it hasn't even been that long. But right. But I know you're kind of like a forward thinker. Is there something that you are planning on doing or that you're doing now where you're trying to keep the balance to be good for her?
Yeah. I think the decision started the day she was born by me telling myself I need to play a bigger game. I'm too much of a today thinker.
Wait, first of all, you're not gonna speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Yeah. I'm too much of a today thinker. I'm so operational, and in a lot of ways, that's probably where my gift is, right? Like I'm a strategy and operations person. But when I think about the quality of life that I want to lead, you can't have a balanced life, one where you're actively present for your children, playing such a small game, thinking about today. I was listening to Jeff Bezos today talk about how many decisions he looks to make in a day. Can you guess how many decisions Jeff Bezos tries to make in a day? Let's add some context to that. One of the richest people in the world, CEO and founder of Amazon, billions of dollars in net worth. How many decisions do you think Jeff Bezos aims to make in a day? Maybe you guys can put it in the chat. Nix, what you think?
Is it high or low? Can you?
Okay. I'll give it a second just to delay and give people some time to just go with their intuition on this. I don't want to say it right away.
I want to say one. I want to say one, like if I make any decision, this one has to count. So I'm filtering everything else and I'm going to put all my energy, thought process, strategy towards one. That's if I was paid.
No, and you're spot on though. He said 3. He says I look to make no more than 3 good decisions a day, because for my role, he's like, for my role, I don't live in today. And look at some of that, over 300, 10, 1,000. Dude said I don't look to make more than 3 good decisions a day, because for my role, I don't live in today. Everything that I'm doing is going to affect you, or it's affecting the company 3 quarters from now.
That's good.
I said, oh, that's confirmation. You got to play a bigger game. If you're so stuck in just trying to keep the lights on today, how do you secure a future for your loved one 6 months from now? You got to stay in the rat race to make that happen. And so I know myself. I love to work. I'm so passionate and I love what I do. I have a genuine heart for it. I don't look to monetize off of much of what I do. And so I just know that if I'm going to do it and do it my way, which I will do it my way, because I'm very determined to do it that way now, it's time to play a bigger game.
All right, people, we could get off now. No, that's fine. Jeez, all right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, and sorry, real quick, before you jump into it, y'all, we've been doing this awesome over the last couple of weeks. And shout out to everyone who's plugged in, man. We definitely appreciate the support. Everyone on the super chats, everyone in the comments, everyone who's liked this video, shared it. I still got some hundreds on the line for if we reach 100 live viewers. I haven't taken that off the table. I just want to say that because I saw us peak like 70. I was like, oh shoot, I might be a couple dollars.
It's an important convo. It's an
You know what I'm
important
saying?
convo.
Yeah. So I appreciate everyone who's tapping in. And if y'all got some questions, man, we've been saving questions for the end of the conversation too. I want to make sure, hopefully we can add some value to you. But yeah, Nix, let me shut up and get out the way, because the way you started off today, that meant you got something on your chest you need to talk about.
Yeah, a little bit. If you have a question, to piggyback off of what Moose says, if you have a question, put Q in front, and so I can see it, and then I'll save it on the side, and we'll answer it at the end. So if this goes, what time is it? If this goes a little bit later, we'll go like little 10 minutes over, maybe, depending. Let's see how fast I could talk. You know what I mean? Let's see how fast I could talk. So, all right. Kind of still on the line of the flight assessment and just the season that I'm in, right? Let me start by saying this. I've been very vocal in certain times of the year where I say that I'm highly documented that I go through depression, right? Now, I have not really had a full-blown situation for years now. I think the last time I had the way that I'm feeling now, probably like around my divorce. For those people, yes, I got divorced. But I've been really good with it, being intentional with, self-awareness, doing different routines and everything like that, right? But also in the same sentence, right? Me and Moose been talking about, like, in this season of me being open for changes, right? And open to slow things down, structure, people, like, maybe not every idea goes out, or even being verbal about some of those ideas, right? And it wasn't until a conversation that I had with Nick yesterday where I kind of understood, like, what's triggering, right? And it's in the season that I said I'm open to is not my natural. And for me, being the pilot, was high flight attendant, because now in this season I'm just pilot because I'm trying to fix things, right? As the pilot that I am, I have to make seasons and deadlines of when I'm in my, like, adaptive. When I'm not my natural self, I have to put a deadline for how long I'm going to be that way. I didn't this time, right? So to have my ideas suppressed for so long, to be in certain situations a supportive role for so long, to be giving up more control than I'm comfortable with, right? Really triggered things that I couldn't even, like, imagine, right? Because going based off past times, I'm like, yo, I know certain triggers. I know how to stop it, how to walk away from it. I know how to take care of it. This one, I didn't see really coming, right? But, days go on. Like, you still have to manage a brand. You still have to run a business. You still have to get certain things done. And so what I'm realizing is that in these times, I have to understand my minimal level so I don't go ghost, right? And what I mean by that, oh, and also being able to communicate. When before, and a lot of people I know who may go through these things, suck at communicating, suck at saying, yo, I'm going through something, right? And I'm not saying say that to the world. I'm saying find a group and try to communicate as much as you can, right? Find a person, try to communicate as much as you can. If you were into therapy, go do that, right? So push yourself to communicate. It's going to be very uncomfortable, but you're going to realize some things that may have been the reason or something that could possibly help. So I'm going to say communicate, right? But also do the minimum in this time, meaning you have to save your energy to get better. You have to save your energy to get your mind moving the way it used to or what you deem as normal. So meaning, I'm not going to push myself so much, but in the context of content, my brand, my business and everything, what is the thing that I have to do today? And can we put the energy towards that? Like, find some type of enjoyment in it. And if there is no enjoyment in it, please delegate it. Like, please delegate it, right? I actually enjoy showing up on social media because I am, how do I put this? I fully take on the responsibility of, hey, on good days, we gonna show up. On bad days, we gonna show up, right? And we don't have to go crazy on the content. Sometimes we gotta go transparent on the content. Sometimes we gotta repurpose the content. Sometimes we gotta just write anything and put it up there, right? So for me, the social media presence isn't too hard, but in this time frame, I do have to like still keep that on a minimum, right? I still have to keep that up. So I may like do like today I did a carousel, right? Boom. I wrote something out instead of jumping on video because I knew I had to get on this live. So I had to save my energy for that, right? When it comes to the business, you know, we have an event coming. I save my energy, even though it, like the slides may have been due yesterday, me communicating with everything, you know, I was given grace and I did it first thing in the morning, right? Find your minimum and put the energy towards that and figure out how to heal. Figure out what is the routine, the exercises, the whoever you need to talk to, like figure it out, right? And for me, and being transparent, I have to like in this phase, like it was one thing and people could relate to this. It was like one thing after the other, and the other. You know what I mean? Like, shout out to my mom who's watching this, worried about her, my grandma, you know, things that are happening on a support side, you know, it just between, you know, where it feels like everything just rains on you. And normally I'm good. I'm like, pop, 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 right? Take that, bad boy. But for me, when my creative freedom gets attacked for like on a consistent basis, right? that's when I don't know how to maneuver, right? But I blame, and not on no, like this is just taking ownership. I blame myself for not setting a deadline of when that season was done. Because I am okay with being, okay, I'm open to, let's figure out how to structure this. I'm open to criticism. I'm open to this. And anybody knows me, I do not like criticism at all. Not at all. Okay? So the fact that I was even open says a lot. Okay? But to constantly suppress the, let's say, leadership and the leader role that I normally do, and I was more on some, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what about this? Hey, you feel me? Like, and be like, nope, can't do that, not now, can't do this, can't, like, I could only deal with that for so long. And I don't blame anybody, like I said, I don't blame anybody who did that, because they did that with their best interests. But as me being the pilot, I have to pick pockets when I receive that. I have to pick pockets when I could be creative, and then when I have to be like in go mode. And it wasn't until the conversation I had with Nick yesterday and we always figure out really what's wrong with us when we try to help others. Like,
That's crazy.
So I'm
That's
here,
crazy.
and shout out to Nick. I love you. Not to put out your business, but it's a teaching moment. Wah, right? I've been on this whole, like, what would make you happy? Like, what would keep you in your natural, right? And this time, well, I said it. Today's Tuesday when this is recorded, so we had the conversation yesterday, Monday. We had it real brief, let's say around 1:00, and then we had another one, and I'm on the floor. He's like, why are you on the floor? I was like, one of those days. But me talking it out, like, yo, like, I can see that you're not in your natural, and it's not about, you can support and you can help out people all you want, but you have to do that for a season, because if not, you're going to get in a certain phase. And I was like, that's what's happening to me right now. And I started to water up, and I was like, that's it. That's it. I'm not me.
Yep. That's usually the cause of it, man. I hate to generalize it, but that's usually the cause of it. It's us getting away from who we know we're supposed to be, and we fight it. And funny thing is, we always find a way to validate why it's okay to go away from being who you are for a season. Like, oh, nah, but I mean, I got to pay the bills, or but I got so much momentum right now. The brand is rocking. Like, think about it. Like, nah, it's okay. It's like, continue. I'm sorry.
Oh, you go ahead. I'm taking a little break. Go ahead.
That's so real, though. I just think it's so relevant, just because it's like, what do you think? Can you pinpoint the moment where you made the decision to go from in your sweet spot or your natural zone into that other piece, and why? Like, were you able to pinpoint that just yet?
When I said I was open?
When you made the adjustment. So let's say you gained all the momentum last year.
Yep.
Obviously, let's associate all of that momentum to you operating in a rhythm with your natural, right? The thing that feels most right to you. You are being completely yourself, super authentic. But then something happened, a shift happened. You jumped into that adaptive range, like you said. You put rails on your creativity. You started doing things that you wouldn't normally like to do, and you pretty much went against your own gut. I'm saying, can you pinpoint, or have you pinpointed why you did that, and what reasons did you give yourself to say it's okay for me to go against my natural right now?
Okay, you want to get okay? Let's do it. Let's
take us there.
Let's talk about it. Okay. So to be honest, it was more of, and yeah, this is gonna go around. So bear with me because this is just raw thought, right? So what triggered that was that the business side wasn't really growing at the time, right? My momentum was there, but for the longest, the business side wasn't. So, and then of course, some like internal team situation where it was like, they weren't feeling heard and things like that. So kind of finding that balance of like, okay, you know what? Shut up for a second. Listen. You're not that detailed. You're not that, or you know this about you. So let's make a shift. Let's get certain people in. Let's, have regular conversations, and in hopes that it changes. And in which it did. It started to change, right? Everything wasn't super, but I saw once I put once I started to care about like, okay, what's the system with this? How are we organized? Like, does everybody have a role, responsibility kind of vibe? Does everybody see their situations? Do we see like, even with the podcast, like just delegating certain things and making sure they're all documented in SOPs and all that great stuff, right? And it started to work. What normally happens for me, and I can only speak for me, where normally when that happens and I see it start working, I normally pull back and go to the next project. Normally go and do these things. But I didn't. And it feels as if the weight of, deeper than the brand, Nicky and Moose, my brand, anything else that's going on just started to like weigh heavy, and hearing like, do this, do that, do this, do this. And when I know, at some point you have to go back to staying in the lane that you're in. And I let that expire, right? And didn't go back to my natural. So it was probably, I would say it was probably last year sometime. And now it's moving. But now and hence why I'm starting to have questions of like, okay, what if we did it this way? What if we did this way, right? But still asking, you feel me? Like, what if we would, and when I have in my mind, this is how it should be, shut up and just go and see if they figure it out with you, kind of thing. But I think the whole, which is funny because for those who are flight attendants, like, we care about people. We want everybody to stay involved. And I realize that with Deeper Than the Brand, I was forcing something, right, that didn't need to be forced. That I should have taken advantage of the momentum and then, build up, not side by side.
That's right. That's right.
Right? Just like, hey, you got it. And Deeper Than the Brand is right there making the statement, but you're trying to do this at the same time, and you're listening to everybody else. Chill out. You feel me? Like, so
I know exactly what you're saying.
So it's more now like, and I'm in just reflecting mode and just trying to pinpoint certain things. But yeah, I would long answer, but that.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're saying. Would you say part of the stress and maybe the anxiety that you feel now is caused by some level of worry that you won't have that same kind of momentum again?
No.
Okay,
No,
good.
not worry. Not worry. It's more of, how do you fix it now? Like, I feel so outside of the problem that I don't see a solution, and that scares me because I can see a solution in anything, and it's hard to articulate sometimes what's in my head, but at least I'll feel a warm and fuzzy that there's something in there. I can't explain it to you because it's not your vision, but it's in my head somewhere. But there's this particular idea that is just, it doesn't even, like, it's there and it's not making sense even in my own head. And that's the scary part.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. The good thing is that when you reach rock bottom, it's only up from there. That's like the best part of being in that situation. And the good, and I will say too, Nick, and I know you know this because you do this and you do this so well. The basics, man. The basics. The basics is a great way out of that situation. But yeah, it's frustrating because like as I'm listening to you and I kind of made up my own version of what you're saying, and it could be exactly what you're talking about, but because I'm familiar with the context, I'm thinking about it, I'm like, dang, I would be frustrated that I didn't maximize on everything that was available to me in that moment, and now I'm looking back like, dang, this is my reward for trying to help when I could have looked out for myself, kind of thing. Right. And both are right. Like, I don't know that somebody would be mad at the fact that you looked out for yourself, and that somebody could be mad at the fact that you said, nah, I could be great, but I want to make sure all my people are good. Like, both are commendable, respectable approaches to doing life that everyone understands. But of course, when you're in the position that you're in, it didn't work out the way you expected, at least not yet, because I do believe it's just a temporary thing. I don't think this is where the road ends. The way what I'm making of it is like the frustration that comes with that, like, dang it.
Yeah, what I love that you said that, because that was exactly it. Like, just like, come on, everybody, come with me, right? And I'll be honest about one scenario, right? The EYL podcast situation. That's what started blowing everything up, right? And there was certain things that needed to be in place for me to truly leverage that standpoint from my own personal brand that would then bring traffic to the business side, right? And that wasn't in place because, for whatever reason. And those different types of scenarios has happened many times. And I look at it like I was trying to build something that, now granted, the community is solid. I'm not speaking on that part, right? Shout out to Deeper Than the Brand, everybody who's part of that, from the community side. That's solid, that's rocking, that's engaging. There's no bad part about that, right? But what I was trying to push individuals when maybe at the time they weren't ready. And so I needed to be more of the example of, okay, I'm gonna run this, and I'm gonna show everybody how this is done, blah blah blah. And then when you're ready, come on, right? But I'm trying to carry everybody, and it actually stopped a lot of things because I'm trying to pull them, and even my momentum was like, hey, you gonna pay attention to me? Like, it's working over here. I don't know why you keep going over there. It's working over here. You feel me? And it's now on, okay, you know what? We don't know. And this is for anybody who has any type of momentum. I don't care if it's like 10 new people, right? We don't know how long this momentum is going to be. So let me figure this part out. And then we could figure out the rest. But the energy is here. And I'm seeing, based off of our podcast, I'm seeing the blueprint 19 million times of how this person's done, this person's done, this person's done. And here I am trying to do, let's do it the company way. Like, no, do what's right in front of you and stop. Like, but the caring about, oh my God, I don't want them to think this is a Nicky show, and I don't want them to like, but then again, this is the season, then boom, then we switch into another season where we bring in this, that, and the third. But it's a deeper conversation as well, because there is a lot of trauma as far as old work relationships, old work patterns that has gotten me stagnant on my true potential, because I'm so scared of being like some of the old leadership or old ways or old patterns. I'm so scared of making those different types of mistakes that it's like, okay, let's go this way with it. Let's everybody hold my hand and we'll go together. And it's like, all right, that's why you're in this place right now. I'm gonna stop. This is just God stopping me real quick. Like, okay, you didn't listen to me when I just told you. So
right.
Let me take you back a few years and make you feel this way.
Boom. Boom.
That's it.
Sheesh.
This ain't.
Comments are definitely appreciative of this though. I seen everybody like, yo, I needed this. Thanks for your vulnerability. Like, I seen a lot of those comments come in. So shout out to everyone who dropped some comments. I think there might have been 2 questions or a couple questions that I saw. I don't know if there was more, but
I'll go
you
back.
want to get through those, we could rock it.
Yeah, I'll go back. But I'll before I get into the questions, I'll say this one thing. Like, it's we kind of led with it on the podcast, right? So questioning yourself, stopping yourself at certain things, feeling bad at certain times is normal, right? I don't think less of me because I'm in this phase, right? I know that if this is so heavy on me right now and the emotions are that strong right now, that means something's coming soon, right? So get all this feeling out now, because you need to kind of survive this horrible feeling, this horrible moment, because something about to happen, right? So I don't want anybody to look at those pieces of content, read those books or whatever that's like self-doubt is horrible, depression is for the weak, all those negative things that they say when we are in our feelings. We're allowed to be in our feelings. We are human. We're supposed to have feelings. We're supposed to dish out feelings and receive feelings. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is. So if you, and we put a poll up, shout out to the people who are part of the Instagram broadcast channel. We put a poll up like, yo, be honest. Like, where is your mental right now? And the two biggest answers was, I'm just okay, or to be honest, I'm at a low. Right? So it's not uncommon to have these feelings. It is about communicating it, not doing it alone, and being honest that it's happening. That's it. Some may need extra help, and please take it, right? Don't close off when people are hitting you up on some like, yo, you good? Say yes, no, maybe so. Don't ignore it. So that's what I'll say. But I think I found one. Shout out to Korshan. What are the basics that pull you out of a bad space? Moose, what's some of yours?
Prayer, working out, and learning.
Okay.
Those are my three. Yeah. And I'm more of like as we talked about, a routine person, specifically in the morning. That's my sweet spot. I don't wake up at like 3 a.m. Usually before 6, between 5:15 and like 5:45 is a great window for me. That has not happened since the baby's been here, so I'm cognizant of it. That's why I say I'm grateful in every season, and I don't take for granted that just because I'm having a good season that this could be forever. The goal is to make it forever, but I think where I'm giving a little grace to myself, I'm saying, okay, my month of fast is coming up on Wednesday or tomorrow, and so it's okay, right? Like you're gonna have opportunity to compensate for that. But I would say, coming out of any bad season, you need to know your ideal times of the day, like what works for you. Nick is more of a night owl. I'm more of a morning person. But those basics, those fundamentals for me are prayer, working out, learning, and of course, good nutrition. Like, eating good and taking care of yourself. That just instantly makes yourself feel better.
Yeah, clearly I don't get that part.
First of all, you're not gonna speed past that. Like, you didn't just say what you just said.
No, I don't eat well. No, for me, normally, prayer, meditation, reading, music, and work. I'm a workaholic. So I actually thrive when I'm in a bad place. Like my friends used to laugh at me. It was like, I can't wait to, which is not going to happen in this relationship, right? But I can't wait till you get a next breakup, because you always make way more money after a breakup. You know what I mean? Like you go on a whole new level when somebody hurts you, when you in a certain kind of wave and everything. So I work a lot more because that's for me, that's my peace. I don't find work a burden or things that stress me out. Everything that I said today was not anything that really had to do with actual work that I do per se.
That's good.
So yeah, for me, it's those things. So yeah, I know we had a question from here. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. This is for you. Do you feel an added pressure in figuring out yourself and finding mental clarity now that you are a parent? Fear of not allowing your fears affect your child?
No, not. And again, I'm grateful for the work that I did leading up to the time before the baby was here, because I'm not coming in here with preconceived notions or ideas that I'm trying to enforce. I'm coming in with an open, clean slate, and I'm asking for advice. I'm learning. I'm seeking help. Like, I'm doing all of the things that would help you to avoid making a mistake that you later regret or wish never happened. And I also now understand that I'm going to make mistakes, but guess what? That's okay, because my heart is in the right place. I'm focused on doing the right thing every day. Like we said, just, man, if you can just focus on improving the quality of your decisions, guarantee your life will be different in 90 days. Guarantee it. All right. And so I came into parenthood saying, this is a brand new chapter in my life. I've never had a child that's actually mine, that I can bother and kiss and annoy the crap out of and not feel weird. That's the kind of parent I'm gonna be. I know that, right? It's like, I know that about myself. But at the same time, I've never had a child that I've had to raise, whose emotions I've had to understand at different phases of their life. Right. There's infant stage. There's the young toddler. There's so many different phases in parenting that I came into wanting to learn about, and just taking it one day at a time, because you can't prepare yourself for when they're teenagers, when the girl is 10 days old. So I will say I that mentality has at least helped me not struggle with that. But if you're going through it, I would say just rewind, unload, and study. I'm telling you, information, like when he says information changes situations, that's a real thing, because you won't act out of what you how can I say it? Like, we don't ever want to hurt ourselves intentionally. No one is out there like trying to harm themselves for the most part. All right. And so I think if you know better, you always do better. So that's cliche as that sounds. That's real.
It's a fact. And then last question. Nikki, how did you navigate transitioning from the Navy and still pursue your dreams? I separated this past December, congrats, to pursue life coaching, but it's been a roller coaster. It's going to be. And this is, I don't really truly talk about transitioning too much. I think I should, but the Navy, the military world, and the real world is two different things, right? And so you're probably going to feel a lot of emotions as far as, man, I'm starting late. It's like I'm far behind. The things that I did in the Navy is not transitioning truly into the real world. It's being open to new things, right? You're walking again. You're learning how to walk. And so if this is really what you want to do, like for me, I didn't realize IT world wasn't really for me until I got out of the Navy. Like, I thought, IT was going to be the whole thing. I'm good. I'm Gucci. You know, for those people who know the salary of the IT world, I was going to be living great. All that great stuff, benefits, we good. And it wasn't until I got out where it was like, absolutely not. And then when I finally figured out what I wanted to do, the ups and downs of that. I'm still going through ups and this is the downs of it, right? Knowing I can go and get an IT job in 2.3 seconds and I probably would be chilling real quick, fast, in a hurry, right? So it's always going to be an up and down situation, but it gets better because you finally learn how to walk. But you have to be very, very clear once you get an inkling of this is what I want to do. You have to just stay right there. Like, stay right there. Because if not, you're going to question, why did I leave the Navy? You're going to question, should I go get a contract job? Should I get, like, it's a lot. It's a lot. So we'll talk. If you want, just DM me. We'll talk on that. You know what I mean?
It's real.
That's it. We've had over, y'all really like this. If you enjoyed or got any kind of value or needed to hear this, and you're watching this live, drop some emojis. If you're watching this replay, drop whatever you want to drop. You have time, so you could type whatever, right? But with over 200 comments, yeah, I think y'all like us. I think they like the transparency.
Yeah, this was good. Shout out to you for taking us there. Nikki texted me like, I think we should talk about this today. I said, hey, let's go.
I normally don't touch the Tuesday lives. I leave that to him, but I was like, yeah, this is heavy on me. Let's talk about it, because I'm not going to be able to be like, yeah, and how to create content in this strategy. Here you go.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah. I'm glad we talked about this today, though. That's good.
Yeah. So, I said the emojis are coming in. Okay. All right. We see y'all. Hold on. Let me put some up on the screen so our replay people don't think I'm lying. You feel me? He's like, yeah, there's no emojis. Y'all lying. No, there is. There's a few.
They're here. They're here.
Sound bath meditation online. Shout out to you. I need to get into that's what it did. I need to get into
I like that.
Those are fires.
I like that. It's cool. It's cool.
Just like that too. Just like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Anyways, people, do us a favor. Take a screenshot. Right? Hold on. Let me go back here. Take a screenshot. Share this on your stories and give one of the biggest takeaways. Say, yo, you need to follow Nicky and Moose. However you want to go about it. Definitely share the podcast episode. We are global because of you guys and because you share it, because you tell people about Nicky and Moose. So we appreciate that. Tomorrow, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, the full episode, the video version of today's episode, 129. Yep, 129. We struggle with self doubt too. Is going to be live premiering, so join the premiere with us at 8 p.m. And audio only, Creator Ave, every Friday, 6 a.m.
Hello.
Okay?
Hello.
Let's get those numbers up. I know y'all not used to that. Y'all used to Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and I understand it. But give me about 20, 25 minutes, sometimes 18. Okay? Give me at least up to 25 minutes. We normally take over an hour. Give me that on a Friday. So on your way to work, to the gym, whatever, get some of these nuggets. It's the whole vibe. And more to come. Okay? So we love you. We appreciate y'all. You know what we're going to say.